Hello, and welcome to today's Worksite Wellness Lunch and Learn. We're so glad you could join us. Today, we're joined by Katie Godin from Lifestyle Medical Centers to discuss a topic that can be helpful to us all: how to make healthy eating more convenient. Whether you're traveling, celebrating a special occasion, or simply in need of a midweek break from cooking, dining out is inevitable, but it doesn't have to be unhealthy. In this webinar, we'll discover useful tips to keep healthy habits in place at restaurants and a few ways to make eating at home feel just as easy as dining out. Katie has been practicing as a registered dietitian for 17 years. She focuses on helping individuals improve their knowledge and relationship with food and meet their personal health goals. Lifestyle Medical Centers is an in-network nutrition counseling service. For employees enrolled in the state health plan, both virtual and in-person visits are covered at 100% for in-network providers. The state health plan has in-network dietitians across the state. To find one near you, log into your state health plan portal using the link listed on this cover slide. As a reminder, everyone who registered for this event will receive a recording of today's presentation, as well as the recipe and a few convenience meal handouts from Lifestyle Medical Centers. To find past Lunch and Learn recordings and see our session topics for the rest of 2025, visit our website at oshr.nc.gov/wellness-webinars. During the presentation, you can submit questions through the Q&A, and members of our NCFlex team will help answer them. Additionally, Katie will save a few minutes at the end of the presentation for any questions we're unable to get to. Now let's welcome Katie and Lunch and Learn.
Thank you, Sierra. I'm happy to be here today. Happy official summer, and definitely feels like it. And with all the crazy storms out there, it's just been kind of nutty, the weather. So I'm thankful to at least be looking at some sunshine right now. We don't know what the future holds for today, though, right? But anyway, happy to be here and happy to be talking about this subject, healthy eating on the go. Really going to be focusing on some tips as far as if we're going out to eat, and then also some tips on how to make healthier, convenient, easy meals accessible for you at home so you don't feel like you have to eat out because you don't know what to make. So, and then we'll of course follow up with a easy, very, very simple stuffed pepper recipe that I'm pretty sure most people will like, maybe even the kids. Okay, so all right, well, let's get started. As Sierra mentioned, we are a network with the Aetna State Health Plan, and we have a link down there at the bottom for you to check us out if you've not done so before. Maybe you've kind of been to quite a bit of these webinars, but you've not really looked into the program in depth. You can always check out our website, and we can, get in touch and go over any questions or anything that you might have, question related to the program itself. All right. Let's go through just some general discussion points that we are going to hopefully understand by the end of today. Whoops, sorry about that. But hopefully by the end of today, you'll understand the challenges of eating out frequently. There really isn't anything wrong with eating out. And I want to go ahead and just throw that out there. We eat out every week in this household. But I do plan for it. And I think it's really just understanding that when we're eating out frequently, sometimes that's what poses a challenge in many ways. So we'll talk about that. I want you guys to have some helpful tips to create some healthy eating out habits. So if we're going to go out to eat, what are some things to consider? And then I also am hopeful that you'll learn ways to make some more convenient, healthy meals at home. Because I know pretty much a lot of times the reasons why we're eating out is because we really don't know what to do at home, or we feel like we just don't have time to make a meal at home. So I want to make sure that we cover stuff related to that as well. All right. So let's talk first about reasons to embrace eating out, because eating out is something that I think has there's a lot of fun behind it. There's a lot of reasons why we might want to do it. And some of those, and not all of them, but just some of the main ones that I could think of here, was at first, it's Convenient. It's a nice convenient factor. And sometimes we just need that. And we need to plan for that. Maybe there's just a certain night of the week. I know sometimes I will look at my schedule and maybe there's a lot of extracurriculars, just one particular night that always just feels a little stressed. And maybe it's the middle of the week and I've already exhausted a couple of ideas and I've made a couple of meals and I just need a break. So that could be something that I plan for is that midweek convenience factor. It's oftentimes a way to relax in the same, and for the same reasons. We've maybe already cooked a few meals that week and we just need a break and we want to relax and not worry about lifting a finger tonight. So that's definitely a reason to embrace eating out. Breaking up that nightly cooking, like I just mentioned. Celebrations and social connection is a huge reason to eat out. I love to get together with friends and have fun kind of rotating. Hey, who's going to pick the restaurant this time? And trying new spots, supporting local businesses. I think that's a really important thing that we should be doing is supporting local businesses near us and getting to know people in that way. This is just a fun thing to do in your neighborhood area. So it could be nostalgia. If it's a favorite restaurant, maybe it's a place you grew up eating and you want to take your family there, or it's just you have special memories related to that type of place. It's just a general favorite eating spot you like to go. And then, of course, when we're traveling, right? So exploring new cuisine, traveling, these are kind of really, I think, fun, important reasons that we should look forward to eating out. Okay, so I also, of course, wanted to share maybe some reasons behind evaluating your eating out habits. So, for example, are we eating out because we don't want to cook at all? Maybe, and the reason why we're avoiding cooking is could be related to a lot of different things. It could be related to we don't know what to make. We feel we aren't a good cook. We don't know how to cook. We don't have time to cook. These are things that I feel like need to be addressed. And so if that's kind of your number one reason to eat out, that would be a reason to evaluate that habit. And that's something that I talk with people a lot about. And that's why I'm hopeful that today's recipe is kind of like, oh, wow, that's actually not that hard. And I think I could do that. So I think it's learning new ideas. And that's where a dietitian can really come in handy is just throwing out really simple, 3, 4 ingredient meals here. As Sierra mentioned at the beginning, you guys are going to get some handouts that we call, it's our line called convenience meals. And they're really just pictures and they'll show you 3 or 4 different things and you just put it all together and you've made a meal. So I think that we need to know more about how to do stuff like that. The other reason that maybe you're eating out a little too frequently is you don't have a plan. I'm going to tell you guys, I know this is a huge barrier because I struggle with it from time to time myself. I don't know who doesn't. So I know that when I have a week where I've kind of stuck to my general good, habits behind meal planning, which I'll talk about in a second, but when I do that and I have meals kind of planned and I have food in the house and I just have thought about it, I definitely eat out less. Okay. But when I don't have a plan and I feel like it's night to night living here with food, frequent trips to the grocery store, that gets old really quick. We don't have time for that. We don't want to do that. We feel like it's exhausting. So we eat out a little bit more frequently. So that's something that I like to talk to people about too, is just making sure that you know how to have a plan. If you are eating out every single day, I want to talk to someone about that. And again, there are certainly spots where, and really at any place, you can get something healthy for the most part, right? I mean, there's always something that's generally a healthier option that you can kind of choose from. But eating out nightly, I kind of want to know why, right? So maybe it's kind of back up to that number one you just are avoiding to cook. So I just want to understand why someone is eating out every night. So it's just something to look at, something to evaluate. The expense of eating out frequently. I mean, it's really, really expensive these days, even to just drive through somewhere like Chick-fil-A, right? Very expensive. So I think it's good to understand that when we have a plan and when we have an understanding of what to do, we are most likely going to save some money here. So that's something to take into consideration. Something to look at is eating out. Again, not a big deal, but if we're eating out frequently and we really have a hard time making healthy choices, I would want to talk to someone about that. Why is it difficult to make healthy choices when you're out to eat? Maybe there is a reason for us to kind of have some barriers and a little bit of some guidance on how much we're eating out so that we can work on some of those really good healthy eating habits at home, and maybe those can trickle into the restaurant scene as well. And then also, if you have an increased risk of chronic disease, I think, again, like I mentioned, there's lots of different options and healthy places to go out to eat at. But a lot of times we just really don't know everything that's in the food. And a lot of times there's things, hidden calories, hidden sources of sodium and fat and things like that. So there may be individuals that really could use some guidance on, how to properly make a healthy choice when eating out, but also how to make some really simple meals at home to avoid eating out so frequently. Kind of just to go through some of the challenges here of eating out. So one of the things is portion control, and um, the unlimited add-ons that I put down there at the bottom. You'll see pictures of bread and chips and salsa. And, these are great and fun to look forward to. And I do not think that you have to avoid these. I don't want you to feel like, okay, when I go to a Mexican restaurant, for example, I need to just cut the waiter off at the pass and get the chips out of here. I can't have any of them. I don't want you to feel like that. But I do want you to have some kind of a plan for some of the free stuff that's just plopped down on the table, kind of have an idea of, hey, let's limit it to this one basket. Let's kind of feel out, what are we trying to prioritize for this meal? And so we'll get into some tips around some of those healthy habits in a second. But I really think that these are definite challenges. And it's just looking at those types of situations and really just bringing awareness to it all, I think is key. So yeah, portion control can be challenging. There's, like I talked about, hidden sources of calories, just general temptations, which is just, that's a fact. When we eat out a lot, we are going to be exposed we can have a great thought and a great plan, but then we get there and that doesn't sound good anymore because this other thing sounds even better, right? And so here and there, not a big deal, but if we're doing it all of the time, that's where we can maybe get into some trouble. Sometimes there's just social pressure, and that's okay. I mean, sometimes it's all right to kind of be influenced by others when we're out to eat. But again, it's really all about the amount of time we're being exposed and feeling like we have a healthy balance between it all. And then the other side of it, distracted eating. Sometimes when we're in an environment that may be a little bit more distracting. Certain restaurants are more distracting than others, right? So there's more restaurants that kind of are a little bit more calm and quiet. And then there's restaurants that are a little bit more loud and crazy. And so we can maybe be a little bit more distracted and our eating habits are influenced because of that. And then just the lack of control over preparation. However, we do have a lot of control when it comes to how our food is made. And I'll talk about that here in a second too. All right, so let's get into some tips when it comes to making healthy choices out to eat. So you guys know I'm really big about planning. So everything we do, we need to plan for it, especially when it comes to eating out. I think this is something that we don't do enough of. So like I talked about at the beginning, when I have a busy week ahead and I know that I'm going to need a quick, convenient meal, maybe a night out or maybe a to go or something like that, I want to plan for that. I want to kind of insert that onto my meal plan. So review your week and plan for those days. Figure that out. Rotate through restaurants that you know have healthy options you do enjoy. So sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to have to eat out a little bit more this week, but I know this restaurant and this restaurant tend to have some healthier options that I do really enjoy. So maybe I'm going to frequent those a little bit more this week. When you're out of town, because I know that's a big time for people to eat out, maybe we look at places that we're going to be eating out ahead of time. Look at the menu ahead of time. Familiarize yourself with the places that you're around, whether you're there for work or whether you're there for, just time with the family or, for vacation. I definitely recommend this. So get yourself familiar with some of the places that you are around and kind of have a plan for it. And just in general, I usually tell people, but of course, there's always, room for flexibility, but just in general, aim to keep eating out 1 to 2 times per week if possible. And I think that that just gives you a healthy balance between I need to learn how to meal plan. I need to learn how to make some easy, healthy meals at home. I need to, and then when you go to eat out 1 to 2 times a week, sometimes our choices can be a little bit more flexible for that reason too, which I know sometimes is enjoyable. When you're traveling, I would usually, throw out ideas for people. That's something that I've been talking a little bit more about lately is of course there's a lot of summer travel, a lot of plans, whether we're going, on our beach vacation or we're going with other families. And so I get sometimes you feel like it's a little out of your control. But I bet that there's more within your control than you give yourself credit for. And sometimes you just need a little extra challenge. So I will help people with that. But I usually say try to keep at least 2 out of the 3 meals at home if you can. Okay. And, that's very individualized and dependent on where you're going, right? So it depends on where you're staying and all that. So that's sometimes a whole session with someone is talking about how we're going to eat healthy when we're traveling to A, B, C, or D. Um, but I think having a plan behind it is key, no matter what. So portion control is going to be something big to keep in mind when we're eating out. So the biggest thing is to stay structured with your eating on days you're going out to eat. I've talked about this, I know, over the past few years, but really, I don't encourage people to save up their calories for their big meal out. I want you to eat like you normally eat. And that will kind of keep this as just another meal, but we're eating it out tonight. So I think that having this plate method mentality that I have here in front of you, I've talked about that a lot too, where we have half our plate loaded with some veggies, quarter plate starch, quarter plate protein. That is doable when we're out to eat. You can make that work. We can have flexibility with the choices, but I think just in general, this is a really simplified way to keep your portions under control. Maybe we're having a small snack 1 to 2 hours before we're eating out, just because we know if we go famished, right, portion control is out the window. Of course, saving some or sharing a meal or trying half of a portion. Asking for a to-go box pretty quickly after you get your meal is definitely something that I encourage to do, just because most of the time the restaurant servings are pretty large. Maybe skipping the free appetizers, just depending on what you're prioritizing for that meal. Maybe we're prioritizing some of the free stuff that we get, but we're kind of staying a bit more low key with our main entree. So having a plan, right? And just because we talked about the distracted eating, which tends to affect our portion control, because when we're distracted, we sometimes eat a little bit more quickly, and then our portion control is affected by that. So just be intentional about putting your fork down a couple of times throughout the meal. I guarantee a lot of us don't really do that. So just thinking about that one little tip could be helpful for you to slow down your pace, and eventually maybe even eat less because you're not eating so fast. I had mentioned hidden calories earlier, and what am I talking about when I talk about hidden calories? Usually those are coming from things like oils and butters that foods are cooked with or in, certain sauces, dressings, condiments. You guys probably are aware of that kind of stuff. Melted cheeses are always going to add a lot of additional calories and fat, marinades, glazes, and then sugary beverages. So let's really start with what we have control over. Um, we definitely have control. I tell people, let's just start with sugary beverages. If you're used to ordering those out to eat, let's try to not do that. I think that that alone is going to save so many calories and so much sugar. So trying to kind of lean into that a little bit is a goal that I like to work on with people. Making sure to ask for certain things on the side when you can, and ask for your order to be customized how you want it to be customized. You never know unless you ask them. And a lot of times they're able to do it for you. If you don't want your veggies just cooked in a lot of butter, tell them that. If you would prefer to have whatever glaze or sauce or whatever it usually comes with on the side, they will put that on the side for you. So these are ways for you to feel like you have a little bit more control over some of these hidden calories that exist when you're out to eat. And, of course, there's menu options where it'll say lighter fare, lower calorie, and all those things. But sometimes we just want a certain thing on the menu that sounds good. So how can we have it all, have what we want, but control a little bit of the calories associated with it too? Of course, I'm going to talk about dessert. So, to do or not to do, I definitely think you should feel it's okay to eat dessert, but some tips to keep in mind. Maybe we're splitting it with the table. Maybe we're thinking to ourselves, because we've looked at the menu ahead of time, is there even anything on here that I really want or enjoy, or am I just getting it to get it? So, think about that. Let the meal settle a little first before you just jump onto the idea of that dessert. And maybe you can ask for things that aren't on the menu. So, for example, hey, do you have a little bit of ice cream? And you probably, maybe they have some fruit lying around. Again, you never know unless you ask. Have a game plan before you go out because, again, planning is key. And maybe if you're prioritizing the dessert, we're kind of falling into a more lighter entree, something that feels, hey, I don't really care for anything as much as I do this dessert. So I'm going to prioritize that tonight. Okay. So before I get into the demonstration, let's talk about tips for making eating at home a little bit easier. Back to the plan. So meal planning is something that we talk about with patients constantly. It's probably one of the biggest things when I see someone for the first time, I usually want to talk about that first thing. What do you do when it comes to making a plan for food? So these are things that I do or things that I know really kind of help. So I've kind of put those down here. Keeping a running list of meals you like or you can refer to. So I like to have, recipe links, and you can do that however you want to do it. If there's apps, if you're an app person, you can do it that way. I'm kind of a computer girl, so I have everything saved in folders and, bookmarked and that kind of thing and categorized. That's just how I like to do it. But basically just having things that you can look at, because sometimes if we're just left to like, okay, what am I going to eat this week? Okay, yeah, it doesn't come to you. So having things a list that you can look at can be really helpful. Try to pick the same day each week to meal plan and grocery shop. And, making one meal on the weekend. That's something that I've done for a little bit now consistently. I've done it on and off for a long time, but I've kind of gotten into a groove with it, which has been great. But making one meal on the weekend to start your week. So be something really simple. It honestly could just be kind of part of a meal. So it could be, hey, I know that I want to make these stuffed peppers, so I'm going to make the meat mixture, right? And then you have that. So that really all you have to do is, get your peppers out, put your meat mixture in, we'll show you in a second how to do it, but it goes by so much quicker when you're doing it the night of. Maybe we're just picking 2 to 3 meals to make each week so that you can plan for leftovers, kind of this make one, eat it 2 nights method. And then I love asking around. Even though I feel I have a lot of recipes to look at, it's still like you want to just get more ideas. So I usually will ask about recipes to other friends. But I also ask, what do you do? How do you make eating at home a little bit easier for yourself? So kind of just chatting about it and getting a conversation started is always good. So I tried to put a bunch of foods on this slide that I feel I keep on hand for nights when I need things really fast. So, and I've put some breakfast stuff on here. It's not just dinner. I've also given you guys some handouts, like we mentioned at the beginning, the convenience meals that will be very similar to this, except we have them actually laid out into, meals so that, you can put them to, they've already been put together for you, right? So these are just some different food options. So rotisserie chickens from to boiled eggs to easy proteins that you can just put on stuff. Bagged salads, just so that I just have no excuse. I don't have to chop anything. I love keeping veggie trays around or make my own veggie tray to nibble off of for a few days. Having fresh fruit cut, put in a bowl. That's something prep wise that will save you. It's an easy carb, starch, whatever serving to add to any plate for dinner time. Wraps to baking some sweet potato fries to easy turkey burger patties. But it's really just having a plan to have some of these foods on hand so that you know if it's a really busy night. I've eaten out a few times this week, so why don't I try to put this really easy meal together because I have the stuff available. One pot meals are always great if you're kind of like, oh, I mean, cooking's okay, but I don't like the mess and I want to keep it simple. I have a recipe down here for a link to a blog I love called Easy Eats Dietitian. She does a lot of sheet pan meals, and I think those are great. I've even featured, I think, 1 or 2 of them not that long ago, I believe even this year. So sheet pans, crock pots, stir fries, these are things that you can just kind of dump and leave or make pretty quickly the night of. And then food subscription services. If you're someone who's just like, I just don't like meal planning and I don't know what to make, and I don't want to spend every Saturday or Sunday thinking about what to eat. Maybe a meal subscription or a food subscription is something that you'd like to try. For me, some of them, like let's say like HelloFresh or Green Chef or Home Chef, I try to put some of the ones that are a little less expensive, but when you get into things like Factor, these are meals that are already prepared. So you may pay a bit more for convenience fee there. But for me, when it was after I had my second son, and I was out of it, right? Like no one wants to cook after you have a baby. I mean, maybe some people do. And graciously, you are usually given meals, which is just, oh my goodness, thankful. But 3 months in, no one's giving you any meals anymore, right? So I kind of went into it and I got into, I think it was HelloFresh that we used. And it just helped me get back into the groove. We didn't use it long, maybe 2 months, maybe 3. And then I felt like, okay, I'm good. I'm in the mode of cooking a little bit more. So look at some of these things as, hey, maybe it might be a little bit more expensive, but it's also convenient. And hey, you might want to evaluate if you're eating out a lot. Is it really more expensive? So these are things, again, we talk to people through in sessions just to kind of troubleshoot and come up with ideas. We're actually using Misfits Market right now, which we really are enjoying for some produce and for, some meats and things like that. So sometimes you just use it to supplement a little bit. That's what I think Hungry Root and Misfits are really great for. It's like groceries. But Anyway, if you're ever interested to talk to dietitians more about this kind of stuff, obviously we can do that with you. All right, guys, thank you so much. I am going to start getting into the cooking demonstration side of things now. And as Sierra mentioned, they, of course, are so great at taking questions for me during the presentation. So I always appreciate that. But if you do have anything specific, then we can talk about that when we get kind of into the cooking demonstration a little bit after. So you'll get the recipe. This is going to be a very, very simple, easy put together here. And I'm going to talk through the recipe here. So I got it from Eating Well. I've done quite a bit from Eating Well. So there's literally 5 ingredients in this entire recipe. So I'm going to just drag my computer for a little bit and start getting things set up. Here we go. All right. So we have got our peppers over here, which I have already cut. I ended up getting bags of 4, quantity of 4. It's really cute. So one of my bags didn't look through, I kind of just grabbed them really fast. And I've got the cutest, tiniest little guy over here. So besides him, all of them are a good, decent size, because sometimes it's nice to have a big pepper so you can put a lot of stuff in it. But he's kind of cute. So I've got my peppers kind of cut up, de-seeded, and I've put it on my cookie sheet with just a little bit of spray, and we're going to fill those here in just a little bit. And then the first thing that I'm going to do is it calls for a pound of lean ground beef. It calls for a can of some low sodium black beans. And then it calls for some salsa, whichever salsa you want to use. I'm not picky about that. Just I usually get a mild because I'm dealing with my kiddos, and actually I prefer that too anyway. And then a little like a cup and a half ish of some sharp cheddar cheese. You can use ground turkey. You can make this meatless. You can add, like rice and beans and veggies into it. I mean, you can really customize this to how you want to do it. So I love that this recipe has beans. A lot of times stuffed peppers have rice. So not that I don't like rice. I just like that it has beans for a little bit more protein, some really good added fiber. And so what I'm going to do is kind of pull my computer so you guys can see this a little bit better. And I'm going to start cooking the meat and browning it before I start adding the beans and other ingredients in it, okay? Okay, so I've got that on the pan here. It's just going to brown, and then I'm going to add in the beans and then the salsa, and then mix that together. And then I'm going to dump cheese on it to kind of melt the cheese in there, and then I can stuff these peppers. But I do have a few minutes as this is cooking, so I am happy to take some questions if there are some questions that I need to take.
One question, how lean do you suggest to go with ground meat?
So, I mean, I usually go the leanest possible. I do know that, so 93-ish, right? Like somewhere around there. Um, I think if we can kind of go as lean as we can with beef, we're not getting as much of the saturated fat. So that's kind of the reason behind that. I do know that there is obviously a price point with that. So we're going to be spending a little bit more money when we're getting the lean beef. So that's something that I know everyone has to consider what works best for them. But if I'm kind of having a preference, I prefer it to be, somewhere in the 90s.
Thank you. That's helpful. Another person asked, do you have recommended chain restaurants that you feel like are easier to find healthy options at?
Yeah, so I didn't put a lot of specific recommendations for restaurants. I do, like I mentioned, I really feel like there are a lot of healthy options pretty much anywhere you go. We can always turn like there's just so many, right? So that might be a conversation where we in a session kind of talk through where do you like to go? What kind of places do you like to go? What are some swaps that we could try? Sometimes I might say, like, for instance, it's like Jersey Mike's. Not that I get a sub there, like I eat bread, everyone. So, but sometimes it just depends on what's going on. And I might be in the mood to make it into a salad. So, really, anywhere you go is you're going to have the ability to have a healthy option. And, I like to just take people's financial stuff into consideration before I make recommendations. I really don't want to go the route where it feels like I, prefer places like the healthy salad bars that are very expensive to have a big salad. So, yeah. So I just kind of prefer to keep it pretty general, but that is something that we can talk about within a session if again, there's certain specific types of restaurants or places that you live near. What are your options? What are convenient to you? How can we make those a little bit healthier for you?
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Katie, we have one other question. What do you think about the salad dressings
Mhm.
pouches that come in bagged salad kits? Do you typically use those? Do you use a
Yeah.
different dressing?
It depends. I do use them sometimes, and then sometimes I'll use ones that I have. Sometimes I'll do like half a pack because I don't feel like I need the whole salad dressing. So I think that really depends. So I would say either maybe try cutting it in half just to save a little bit, depending on the ingredients and what you're trying to save from that particular salad dressing. Sometimes, yeah, you might find a little bit more sugar, depending on what's coming in from it. Maybe it isn't a lower fat variety, so you're getting a little bit more fat. So hate to be wasteful. So I'm trying to figure out how to encourage people to get convenient foods, but not to tell you, hey, buy this and then throw that salad dressing away. I wouldn't want you to feel you have to do that. But I would usually try to do about half the packet, save the half for another time, for another salad or something like that. Or, yeah, sometimes I might save the packet for something else, maybe use it down the road that week or next week, whatever, and use a salad dressing that I have that kind of sounds good to me. So yeah, that's a good question.
Awesome. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Another question,
Yeah.
if you have time for it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
any cookbooks you could recommend for eating healthy for one person or other strategies you have if you're just cooking for one?
So I don't have a specific, I'm going to be really honest. I don't have a lot of cookbook recommendations, you guys. I use a lot of blogs these days. So that's something that I could 100% look into and see, you know, are there any good cookbooks out there that really cater to smaller servings and things like that? Um, I think these line of convenient meals are kind of cool because I think that they're ones where you can multi-purpose some of the stuff that you're using for the meal. Like some of them use a rotisserie chicken. So if it's just one individual, you could, use part of the rotisserie chicken for that meal, part of that rotisserie chicken for something different. So yeah, I do a lot of talking with people about making meals and prepping them for meal prep. So, make one pot, eat it 2 or 3 times. If you're not into leftovers and it's something that you can freeze, I would suggest that. And yeah, so that's kind of just off the top of my head, but I can definitely look into, are there any good resources for smaller batch cooking, cookbook kind of things that are out there that I just don't know of.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Somebody wants to know recommendations for road trip snacks, packable, convenient things, I guess.
Yep. So I usually go the route of, well, A, it depends on what kind of road trip you're doing. If you're traveling by car, then we have so many options because we can bring a cooler. So there's like sky's the limit there, cheeses, yogurt, sandwiches, all kinds of stuff. Um, but if you're traveling by plane, I would say things like maybe some protein bars, maybe some nuts, little packages of we have handouts on that. Maybe I could find one of our handouts also. We have a travel, like an on the go, which I don't know why I didn't think to attach that with all these other handouts that I gave. So I will definitely find that handout and shoot that over because I bet a lot of people would like to see some good healthy snack options, like those little chomp sticks. Yeah, so I'll share that handout so everyone can have that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think everybody would really appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, guys, this is almost ready. It does take a little bit of time to brown some meat, so but I'm getting close.
One person asked specifically,
Huh?
how do you maneuver eating pizza? They said their family always wants to go to like a pizza or an Italian place.
Yeah, so we eat pizza. We love pizza. So this is a part where, you maybe want to make sure that you have had a good bit of protein right before you've gone because sometimes we don't get a lot of protein when we are eating pizza. Not always the case, and you can certainly add things like chicken and other things to pizza to give it a little bit more protein, um, ground meat, that kind of thing. But making sure that we're not super starving either, so that we have, kind of a not so large amount of it all, and maybe we're having some veggies on the side. So we're getting some fiber to go along with it. So maybe we're kind of preloading with a little bit of salad so that we're getting that good fiber in. We've had some protein maybe an hour or two before we've gone. So, we've had good protein, but we're also not starving. And enjoy your pizza, right? So I think part of the reason why we overeat a lot in places like that is we just don't let ourselves enjoy it. We feel like we can't have pizza. So don't save up, your calories to go eat all the pizza and then feel like, okay, I did it. I don't need to eat it for a month because I have my fill. We'll have pizza nights at home. So we'll either make pizza or we'll do, I love the Milton's cauliflower crust pizza. There's a pepperoni one my kids love, and I love the roasted veggie one as well. And so there's ways of having, pizza like that at home that you might actually enjoy. Just as much, and maybe we're not eating out pizza as frequently. So,
That makes sense. Thank you.
yeah. All right, guys, I am going to start adding our beans and a little bit of the salsa. So we have a can of black beans drained, and then I have a cup of mild salsa. So I'm going to add that to the pan. Okay. Now I've got about a cup of some cheddar cheese that I am going to dump in there. I'm going to turn the heat off and I'm just going to kind of melt it into the dish. And if it's not fully melted all the way, that's okay. It's going to melt when it's cooking. Okay. I'm actually going to get a bowl and I'm going to put the stuffing in the bowl and then bring it over here and stuff our peppers. So I'm just going to take around a third of a cup is what they suggest. I mean, some peppers are going to fit a third of a cup and some peppers are going to fit a little more and some are going to fit a little less. So it's all right. Just kind of use up your stuffing here between these peppers in the best way that you can. And then I'm going to put them in the oven, which is set to 425. These little guys might not have as much. I'll use a spoon. All right. Clean that up a little bit. Okay. I'm going to put these in the oven. All righty. So I stuffed those the best I can. I have a little left over, which is fine. Um, it will go eaten. I will make sure that it will get eaten. But so that'll go in for 20 minutes and then you're going to take it out. The final step I can't really do just because it does need to bake for 20 minutes. And I know we don't have all that time. So it'll bake for 20 minutes. You'll pull it out and you'll just top each pepper with just a little bit more shredded cheese if you want to. You don't have to do that, but if you want just a little bit over the top, and then you just put it back in for 5 minutes and then it is done. And the way that I'm serving these is, luckily that did not spill. I have 2 peppers for a serving, and everyone can adjust serving size as needed. The calorie information is listed on the recipe. So I have a couple of peppers here. I have a little bit of some plain sour, I'm sorry, that's Greek yogurt to use as like a sour cream substitute. So some plain Greek yogurt and a little bit of additional salsa if you want to add a little bit more over the top. You can kind of get fun with it and add some shredded lettuce, some green onion. You can add lid to it. Um, so easy weeknight dinner, but I do think having some meal prep ahead of time could make this even smoother. So the thing that really helped me with this was having those peppers cut. So that's what I would recommend doing. Or as I mentioned before, just having your beef, like your ground beef browned. So that way, all you have to do is dump your beans, dump salsa in, do that step. You don't have to sit there and brown your beef for 10 minutes. Like it really is a quick little process on the night of. So that would be more of a weekend prep step. And you've got a quick weeknight meal. So, and this could easily be used. You could half the recipe, just kind of speaking about ways to reduce the portions if it's just for one or for two people. Sometimes it's just learning how to half a recipe. You could easily use ground beef for something else or ground turkey for something else. You could make tacos, or maybe not tacos since these are taco stuffed peppers. But anyway, you could brown it and throw it into maybe some eggs if you wanted to add a little bit more protein. But anyway, you could use that meat another time. So sometimes it's learning if it's just a single individual cooking for themselves, learning how to repurpose things or just how to modify certain recipes to make it work for you a little bit better. And that's something that we can always talk through with people individually in sessions also. So that's definitely a popular topic, is just talking all things, recipes and stuff. So any last minute questions?
Yeah, someone had a really good question. Just in your experience cooking things like this, if you were thinking kind of like a meal prep situation, cooking it for the week,
Yeah.
would you bake them all at one and then reheat in the microwave? Or do you think it would be better to cook the meat separately and then cook them daily, kind of?
Um, you mean, oh, oh, right. So
Yeah,
have the meat and then the pepper, and then you just put your pepper and you bake it.
yeah,
That depends on the individual. It depends on how picky maybe. I don't even like to, I shouldn't use the word picky, but just how you want it to be. If yes, that would probably make it taste the best. You could also just pop it in like a toaster oven and kind of heat it up that way. Sometimes that's what we do for stuff like this, just because that is very, sometimes it's nice to just have it all made. So I think that just depends on the individual and what kind of time they have and what if they want to do it like that. But you could do it that way, or you could put it in some type of toaster oven or put it back in the oven to slowly reheat it if you don't want to use a microwave. So that's kind of what I would suggest.
great, awesome. I think that's all the questions we have.
Okay.
Um, Other than that, thank you, and we'll see you again in August.
Thank you. All right, guys. Yes, take care. Have a great rest of your July, and I'll see you in August.